That's fascinating. And at what point would people decide to use your service?
So we come in around when the production, ideally, when the production is 70% financed, because you want a green light on it, you want a date of production, but also that's the moment when we still deal with all the legal contracts. So we look at everything and we start creating the recoupment schedule, because you want to avoid future legal disputes. And what happens is we open the bank account like a normal kind of third-party company that is dealing with funds, with a unique bank account. And that's the moment when blockchain comes into play, because we encode the set of instruction in the collection account management agreement onto the smart contracts that will automatically execute the set of instructions. So we don't use any cryptocurrency at all. It's all fiat currency, Euro, GBP, Australian dollars, Canadian dollars, because we have now several territories around the world. And that's also what the beauty of blockchain is, because it has this immutable aspect. So every time you create this recoupment schedule and this set of instruction, you can't delete it or you can't just tweak it. Just like, oh, there's a side deal that no one has to find out about. No, there's no such thing anymore. So the signatory parties will always get this information with a lot of clarity, and then they will know that this is working in everyone's favor. And we like to say, because we heard it many times in the industry, like companies saying, oh, trust me, we've been doing this for 25 years. And that's like a big alarm bell for me. When I hear that, I was like, ooh, I'll think about that. And we say, don't trust me. Who am I to trust? Just go and verify it yourself. And when that happens, it feels again that you give back the power to the people. And I'm sure that we're all kind of fully aligned here in missions, because we also feel exactly about democratizing budgets and producers. So we have no thresholds. People can withdraw anything and can make content of any budget, and everyone should access a transparent and automated way of recouping money.
It just sounds like it brings a lot of fairness and transparency to a process that potentially there's always the same people losing out. Which is, or not getting paid or getting delayed or the last person to be paid. And
exactly.
I think it sounds great.
And all of these kind of companies are meant to do something else, not accountancy in Excel spreadsheet. It just feels like the entire financial system is actually on the shoulders of Excel spreadsheets, and it's just like it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
And we were lucky to have Imperial College and University of Toronto to be our academic partners. So us too, we spent a lot of time going like, oh my God, is this the right thing to do? Jesus, we're dealing with millions. So we had to just really verify everything, triple verify it. And what is really exciting is to see that people want that, funds want that, producers want that. So the industry is changing for a more kind of a fairer and a more transparent way to deal with things.
Great. Is that the same, or does it involve smart contracts?
That's correct. Yeah. Yes. So there is a tokenized internal system that no one in the room needs to know about, because you will not interact with it. But essentially, every proportion of ownership is recorded on the blockchain. So if you're if you're a makeup artist who says 0.05% of the net profits, you have that digital asset in the basically in the infrastructure that records your ownership.
Yeah. But fundamentally, you're using technology to solve a problem.
I hope so.
And does the industry think so? I mean, how's it going? There's obviously, like we said, the people who often lose out said, yes, I want this, but I imagine there's some people who are more cautious or worried even.
For us, it was actually surprising that all of the members of the value chain just came to us, and in the conversations, first of all, they took the first meeting, and I was like, okay, that's I think that's encouraging. Mm-hmm. And then second of all, we ask them, how can we help you? Like, what hurdles do you have? What can we solve for you with this infrastructure, obviously? So with the product that we have. And they all share the same problem. They all have manual processes, reconciliation of legal contracts, cross-team collaboration. And everyone in 2020 knows that if you want to survive as a company, you need to move from old dated system onto an automatic and digital system. So if it's blockchain or not blockchain, they have this concept of like, okay, I think I heard on a panel about the digital transformation, so I have to kind of do something about it. And we have seen all of the people in the value chain, distributors, everyone, the aggregators, sales agents. So it was surprisingly encouraging to see the openness to technology.
What is the future of film? Discover the trends, strategies, and technologies that are shaping film's future in the Future of Film 2020 report. Download your copy today for free at futureoffilm.live. That's the Future of Film 2020 report, available now at futureoffilm.live. You're listening to Film Disruptors, and I'm in conversation with entrepreneurs and founders Nadira Azermai, Maria Tanjala, and Catherine Downs. And if you are enjoying the show, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts or your favourite podcast platform. And I start this section by asking Catherine about usheru and the problem or the opportunity that the company is looking to solve in the film space.
So usheru very much looks at the distribution and the marketing of films, really about the promotion of films. And the big issue we're trying to solve with data and software. And then the actual purchase of a ticket, which is essentially the final step in that e-commerce journey, takes place at a totally different place, at the cinema or at the theatre. So what we're trying to do, or what we're doing at usheru, is bringing together that journey that a customer takes to find a movie digitally, to find that showtime of that film, and then to actually making their purchase. So from a platform technical point of view, it's pretty straightforward e-commerce solution and something that exists in many other industries, and bringing that technology and applying it to the cinema industry. The challenges of that industry, as many people know, is possibly that relationship between film distributors and cinemas and exhibitors, bringing that together. So I guess a lot of the hard work, and you both described probably years of building a technology and building validation and building all the relationships required to bring those pieces together, is what goes into that. And then I think we're in a good point now of working with some film distributors of varying shapes and sizes, to solve that problem for them. What it really does is brings analytical visibility on how they're spending their marketing money, and whether you're a very small filmmaker who really wants to get a lot of bang for your £10,000 that you have, or 10,000 euros you have to spend, or you're spending 10 million. It's really to show people, well, money you're spending is being wasted or being really useful. Here's how to activate your marketing campaigns to do something in real time. So we're working with film distributors, we're working with national film bodies as well, and giving them a way to showcase their films, but bringing all that data intelligence behind it as well. And we're doing it across, actually, it's interesting when we're talking, you can say, why did you found your company and what's your solution? But we're now 5 years established, and I feel like the company's solution has ebbed and flowed in that time, because consumer behavior has changed so much compared to 5 years ago. I remember when we started the company, going and speaking to film exhibitors, and they were like, oh no, only a few % of my tickets are bought online. And we were going, no, but soon there'll be a lot. And actually soon is here, and that's happened. That has happened very quickly. There are still groups, that love to walk up, but it's such a big concern now for exhibitors to be more savvy. And distributors, when we started, were spending small amounts of their budgets online, and now they're spending huge amounts of budget online. A lot of big studios bringing digital people from other advertising tech companies in-house to become... But I feel like we started the company kind of like seeing that, but now it's happened, and now it's really, everyone's getting much more advanced in consumer tech because our phones were just... And, we never thought we would watch any film on our phone. We also never thought we would trust to put our, our credit card details at some point in time. And they're just, now it's like, are going up and beeping Apple Wallet against a console. And we're, so just consumer behaviors changed so dramatically in that time. So, look, the seed of the company, Alex was actually has been in the company since we began, was very much... we won a competition with the British Film Institute to look at how we can bring more analytical intelligence to audience. So what we're really trying to do with that, and it has ebbed and flowed and changed in shape over that period, is get, and it is at all stages of the film cycle, is get people who are making films, whether you're a filmmaker, a producer, or a distributor, get you thinking about the audience at all those stages of that cycle. Because at the end, I guess most people, you can create to create, you can create over stages. You want to become a professional in your creation, then it needs to become your livelihood. So eventually everybody does want to connect with an audience and make money from their film. So what we're trying to get everyone to think about philosophically is think about your audience as soon as you can in that film life cycle, because it will matter to you eventually, more than you think. And so the more you know on that journey, because every film takes years to make, the more you know on that journey, the more important you realize it is. And you don't want to realize that too late, I think.
Did you jump in?
Are you trying to convince also kind of producers, production companies in their projects to involve you as early as possible in their journey?
We are.
Are you hooking them with?
We are, and that's probably really only the past year that we're doing that. Because I've been at panels and heard producers talk about how they need to think about their audience. But the reason is because, like you talk about, the importance of the script and the making of the film is what engages an audience. And there's loads of nuggets of information about a film being produced at that point in time, which by the time it gets distributed are, just packed in with lots of other creatives and trailers and everything. But, the producers can be building the audience. And also a lot of independent filmmakers can build... a lot of independent filmmakers who aren't necessarily being distributed by the same person every time, or the marketing's been looked after by someone else, can carry people on their journey with them too. So if you're an independent filmmaker who makes documentaries about, war-torn zones, people are probably, who loved your first film, are likely to like another film that you bring to market. So, you'd love to be able to recontact all those people again. And what we're trying to give producers and filmmakers and directors who are maybe more nascent in careers is like give them a way to not have to go back to a cold pool of people the next time, but actually be able to cultivate a relationship, to be able to contact those people digitally, to tell them, I brought out another film. There's 2,000 people that saw that last film, I got those guys again. And then build your audience from there. So yeah, we're convincing them slowly but surely.
to create validation, right? Again,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
you're creating validation about the project and about your business.
Yeah.
By having a direct relationship with the consumer.
Yeah. I do think I think it's important because everyone's consuming content at such a quick rate now, and now it's widely acknowledged people who are consuming a lot of content on streaming are also going to the cinema often. There's lots of overlap, and the cycles of everything that's happening, we're consuming so much so quickly. So our decision-making processes are shorter, more snappy. It's too fast-paced for all of us, but
yeah. Well, it's how to it's obviously how to capture the consumer, but it's also how to how a lot of that data goes into sort of black holes, doesn't it? So we don't know necessarily as a filmmaker. You don't know what's happening to your film. you'll know that Netflix bought it, for example, but
Yes.
you won't necessarily, you might get some reporting, but you won't necessarily know, what's happening within that space. And that's something which would also with the cinema side is obviously the box office, but you don't know as a distributor how much of your marketing actually
Brought that together. How much
was it
affect?
publicity? Was it marketing?
Yeah.
Was it my online campaign? Was it
Yeah.
posters? And so trying to link those
Yeah.
discrete data sets together, I think, is the
Exactly.
opportunity.
I worked at Google in my former life, so I'm not like a full lifer at all in the film industry. Getting there slowly but surely. But I do remember when just the early years when I was in Google around 2008, and the recession happened, and then as they say in recessions, marketing is the first to go. So, and I do think Google really capitalized really well in that moment, because what they did was tell people, okay, you've got to cut your budget to 20% of what it was originally, but if you put it online, you can see what happens. And really they really did well. I remember they even had a slogan at the time called "Speed Up in a Slowdown." That was very good marketing. But it really was the nascent period of like a lot of marketing organizations that were marketing products started to go and test it online, because they thought, okay, at least I know what's happening to it. And right now is the case, for a lot of filmmakers, is they just don't know what's happening after all that effort that they put in.
So we've got a similar theme here of taking control and
Yeah, exactly.
and
So
empowerment.
taking the power back, making it transparent and fair and open, and I think from what I'm hearing about, like, we all are building tools and software that are equally accessible to large and small producers or directors or filmmakers or scriptwriters at every level, and maybe that's a little bit of what tech can do, because I think most people that are real technologists, and that would be one of my co-founders, Andres, they really love to build things and they want to make them really universally available, because it's the creation of it that is beautiful. And I'm sure that's your data scientists and whoever's building that in your companies. It's to build it just to build, and it's built to create and to make it available. And I think we all seem to have that similar strain about, like, there's all different levels of our products that can be available to everybody.
Do you get, and this is a loaded question because I know the answer, do you sometimes get pushback from producers saying, dealing with the audience is not my part, it's not my role.
Not my bag.
Yeah, it's not my role, because, that's what the distributor's job is.
Yeah, we do get that pushback, but I think ultimately, if anyone wants their film to be successful, you're so invested in every stage of that you can't just leave that job to someone else. At the very minimum, if you're a producer, you should be pulling whoever will distribute into a conversation about how we plan to do this. Everything will change on the way, definitely. But if the producers aren't having like early stage conversations about how we're going to get to that audience, what can I as a producer have access to help you ultimately market this and get this an audience, get it connected to the human race out there that I really want to come and see it, then, it won't do well, because the collaboration, even at that level, isn't there. Well, it may do well, but it can do better, I think.
Well, we've got so much, so much to cover, and so many, obviously overlapping themes and commonalities, and presenting different technologies and different approaches to the film industry. Is there obviously tech? I mean, we have a number of people here tonight who work in tech, and there's a particular startup culture and methodology which is it's about the lean startup is one which comes to mind, which is all about creating your minimum viable product and then split testing it, so you just move fast and you fail fast. Is there something to take from that in terms of filmmaking? Could we do more as filmmakers and producers using that kind of model or thinking? Anyone wants to?
Well, I'm thinking this is wide open for scripts, like versions of scripts. I don't know. Would I be right?
I think, first of all, AI is being used in every industry, but there's a nuance in the sense that our industry, the creative industry, film, television business, is a very slow adopter of technology. I think we're starting to see movement, traction, but still a very slow adopter. And I think it's due to the creative nature of the business. That's one thing. And an interesting lesson from startups. With startups, they fail very fast as well. And the reason why they fail very fast is because they put themselves out there, and it's a crash or burn. And I think, in a sense, if you're a content creator, with content creator, I really mean, writer, producer, the whole shebang. If you're a content creator, I think you need to test it as early as possible. For us, it means if you have a version of the script, just get it out as soon as possible, because people tend to keep working on scripts for years and years, and they have, I don't know how many rewrites, but get your validation as soon as possible. Don't waste time. It already is a slow industry, and it's already a tough industry. Get your validation as soon as possible.
But at the same time, with A/B testing, it can be so much more to learn from. For example, when you're making a poster, right? Just make three posters and then ask your 500 friends on Facebook which one they prefer. I mean, it's so easy if you think of it, right? It's like classic A/B testing in products, startups, whatnot, and that can be also easily implemented in whatever you're doing in order to see if you put the message across. I mean, that's not even kind of my sphere, but there were just like super basic things that I was like, why are we not doing this as filmmakers? As in, why does it seem to be so sometimes more kind of egocentric? It's because this is how I want it, or this is how I see it. Just like, no, communicate it, just test it. At the same time, for me, was very inspiring, like PayPal, like seeing, which is a completely different subject, but seeing how PayPal completely disrupted banks. So, and that was only like a few years ago. So I was reading these articles from 2017 that were talking about the big PayPal disruption that was very similar in like real-time payments, make it very accessible for everyone. You just have like you just have an email and you put your credit card details and then you send money across the world in like hours and you shop. So it was e-commerce and everything else. And it just kind of just went very, very slowly first because, or very silently, not slowly. And the banks didn't notice. But by the time they realized, it was like this giant that was completely taking over.
Yeah.
It was like super easy, super nice interface and completely changing entire industries like eBay, e-commerce, shopping, sending money across. To me, somehow, it just feels like we made this parallel as well. It's just, yes, people want things to happen fast. They want access to money fast. They want it simple. They don't want it complicated. How can we learn from their, what afterwards became one of the most kind of disruptive and beautiful examples of technology in the world?
Yeah. Actually, to answer to your question, actually, Alex, on minimum viable products and lean startup, and really what you said, super common in startup as well when people say, oh, I'm starting a company, to people to be in stealth mode. So it's like, I'm not going to tell anyone my idea because like they might copy me or they might do it. And I think we even would have been guilty of that for the first few months until somebody literally was like, do you actually think someone's going to give up their life? Give up their job, give up their life, and just go and copy what you're doing right now. Not very likely. And I think it's what you said about scripts too. It's like, and the advice we got was just go out and start talking to people. And unbelievably, some people we just talked to in the first year of the company, then something happened within the third year of the company because they were like kind of a friend of you at that stage, which I'd say is the same with the script. You're going out, getting advice, It's making it better all the time. And, you know, look, honestly, if somebody robs your script and just copies it, you'll be able to prove that. But unlikely someone has the same passion for what you're doing as you do, because actually it takes a lot to make a film, it takes a lot to build a company, and you need to have a lot of resilience and energy for a year.
Sounds like making a film.
Yeah, it is, just like that.
Well, there you go. there's a parallel between startups and filmmaking. We're racing towards the end here, so I'd like to open it up to the audience to ask questions. We have a roving microphone and a lady here in the front who would like to.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for this very interesting panel. It's really, very inspiring. I have a question, or actually it's two questions for Nadira. I'd like to know, first of all, like you exist 5 years?
Yes.
So that means there are quite a few films that have been made upon your predictions. Do you have a quota you can communicate how precise the predictions were so far? That's the first question. And the second question is, when somebody comes up to you with a screenplay, be it a screenwriter, be it a production company, and there is this outcome, there is this feedback, do you actually communicate the details of character analysis? Because that's kind of a very, like, act structure is mathematical, we all know, but character analysis is more of a fluid kind of thing. I mean, you will have very likely some models that are very successful, that have been proven successful. Yeah. Do you communicate these details?
Question one, if I still remember. The first question was about the movies that we analyzed and what the accuracy really is of predictions. We were very vocal and very transparent about our accuracy, because it's actually, we have one of the proof of concepts that we did is on our website. You can literally see how big the data set was and what the accuracy was of our AI versus the internal studio accuracy, and it's 86 versus 36. That's the accuracy. We're the ones with the 86. You can actually see all the details on our website if you're interested in having a look. The second question is about the character analysis. I think the best way to make you understand how the character analysis looks like is, again, by going to our website. We actually opened up our product. It's open. You can explore the technology. We have in our demo probably 35 recent films as examples in which we show the full analysis, and the character analysis is more about who is the protagonist, antagonist, the likability scores, how likable are they? And we also do advanced sentiment, which is pretty much mapping the 8 primary emotions that humans have, but also the secondary emotions. So we show you on a scene level, in scene 38, for example, you have John and Jane, and what emotions do they have in this specific scene. There's also a summary that really takes you throughout the full script. You know, what is the summary of all the emotions, the 8 primary emotions that this specific character has gone through in this story. So this is more the character analysis that we cover in the product. But again, they say one picture is more than 1,000 words. If you look at the demo, you'll understand immediately what kind of character analysis that we provide.
Great. Another question? Wow.
Thank you. First of all, super panel, really, really interesting. So, and congratulations on having built startups. That's really hard. One of the stats, if I remember correctly, was 87% of scripts don't make it, or scripts don't make it to treatment and then don't make it. So that one thing is clarifying that. And the other question is, do you notice, or I wouldn't say have you built in, but do you notice any bias in your system? Do you tend to bias for return versus total? And a sort of sub-question, if I can, to that is, if a script says, superhero emerges from destroyed building, does that automatically give it like a big penalty?
Okay, question 1 is about the numbers. The Vania walls, because we did. There are a lot of research papers, but if you have Google Scholar or any other website that really lets you read the research papers, you'll find that one. The second question was bias. Yeah, that's a difficult question because you hear a lot about AI is so biased because it's dependent on the data that's being inputted. I always say AI will give you an unbiased assessment of a biased world. That's the thing. That's the best answer I can give you. And the third one, I can't remember.
Well, again, it's about bias, and that's like, does your script analysis, does your AI say, oh, this one's about superheroes? Well, that's going to get bad score.
Well, it's a bit the follow-up of the second questions.
It's about ROI. So if you're going to make a superhero movie today, it's going to be like 300 million.
Not necessarily, because we analyze a lot of superheroes for Studio X and the big ones. And we obviously, when you see what the production cost was and the marketing budget, our analysis, our ROI, our box office was very low for the US, I must say, not worldwide, because that's a different story, but purely US based. I think the majority, our results weren't that great in the sense that we said, hey, go ahead. They're so dependent on China and other territories, and the reason why it gets made is really because they take the total. Purely on the US, it doesn't do well. If you consider that those big movies generally have a budget of around 120, 150, that's the input of the studios, plus we find out that the marketing is actually twice the production budget, which is shocking to me, FYI. So that's, oh my God. I thought it was like 0.5, of the production budget twice.
No, it's double often, what it costs to make it.
Well, that's the production cost, and purely on US ROI, it's a red light. But on a worldwide level, it becomes green.
Nadira, can I just, sorry to sort of, we're picking on you, but how much of a problem for your algorithms and machine learning is the fact that it's the streaming age, where before it was box office and you wouldn't, you could sort of work out roughly what it was going to do on other platforms and stuff, but now, if a streaming platform's making it in-house, how do you know what's successful? Can you analyze what they're doing and sort of?
Well, one thing for us as a company, it would be great if we had all the streaming data. Because all of a sudden you would,
everyone in the room.
You would actually customize the product, and actually instead of telling them what the box office is going to be, you would give them different metrics that correlates with financial outputs. So that would be a great thing. But and I know what you're saying, because a lot of streaming platforms are out there. It's tough because at this point we don't service any streaming platform, so I wouldn't even know what the output would be, and still there's development work ahead because we don't have the data. But I think your question is more about: do you think that box office will decline because more people are watching films on streaming? Just more that box
office is less and less. It's less and less the be all and end all. You can have a film made by let's say Netflix, where it never has any box office, or we looked at The Irishman, didn't we, Catherine? When we saw, because they don't, it's taking money in the theatres, but we don't know how much money. Mm-hmm. So Usheru, do you want to?
Oh yeah, so we were able to look at the UK distribution of a film like The Irishman and compare it to a tentpole film that was distributed, and be able to see the type cinemas that were taking it, the spread, the geographic spread, and the frequency of screenings that would happen versus imagine a big franchise that would go wall to wall in a cinema. So we bring in that screening data so we can so you can't see how much money it's taken to see how many screenings it's got and kind of, but that is those sort of transparency issues, which I guess you're. No. Is that an issue for you as well, Maria, in terms of, or is it just about, it's a fee, a nice chunky fee from a streaming platform which goes in the system, and doesn't matter what happens within the...
So I definitely think that generally legacy systems will no longer exist in the shape and form they have existed in the past, and we are facing a fragmented landscape. And the fragmented landscape also, at the same time, we like to see the opportunities in it, right? Because you have all sorts of hybrids. Everyone co-finances with everyone and then distributes with everyone. And yes, there are still vertically integrated, as they're named, productions. But at the same time, I believe, and from what we are seeing, that will be less and less of those. And that's great because there won't be monopolies anymore. And there will be hybrids and challengers. And challengers will also poke for more transparency because everyone is fighting for the best content and the best talent. And if out of 5, there will be 2 that are starting to give away the data, that puts a lot of pressure on everyone else to do so. So I think that although it's anxiety triggering, a fragmented landscape is helping the industry. It's creating competition. It's creating healthy hybrids of co-financing, co-producing, and cross-platform distribution. And I think it's harder to navigate, but it's exciting.
What would you say? What would be your advice to an emerging storyteller, someone who wants to create work and is starting out? Maybe it's for film, maybe it's for another screen. In this fragmented landscape, where should they start? I'm not going to look at anyone in particular.
We all have to answer this very quickly, right? Like it can't just be one.
Okay, fine. Go.
Oh, I'll go first because I know you always ask that question at the end of your podcast because I always listen to your podcast, Alex. What's the advice? Don't be in stealth mode. If you're a storyteller or a filmmaker with a script or whatever, don't be in stealth mode. Go out and start talking to people and getting their input immediately.
Embrace technology. It's nothing to be feared. You have to embrace it if you want to move forward. And that is the most sane advice I can give you.
I would say if people say, no, this will never happen, or no, you can't do this, just walk away and just knock at a different door. It's as simple as that. I mean, sometimes you learn it the hard way, but just don't believe them.
Fantastic. Great way to end it. Well, thank you so much to Maria, Nadira, and Catherine. I think it's an amazing conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Alex.
So that was my conversation with Nadira Azermai, Maria Tanjala, and Catherine Downs, recorded live at the Film Tech Meetup, which was held during the 2020 Berlin Film Festival. If you want to find out more about any of the guests on today's show, listen to other episodes, or get in touch, you can do all of this at the new home of Film Disruptors, which is futureoffilm.live. So that's it for this episode. I'd just like to say thank you again for listening and look forward to seeing you again soon. Hi, it's Alex here. I'm convinced that there are now incredible opportunities for producers looking to bring stories to the screen. There are now more formats, platforms, distribution, and financing strategies than ever before. That's why I am launching the Future of Film Entrepreneurial Storyteller Program. It's a 12-month virtual program designed for producers looking to build future-proofed businesses and careers. Discover how the Future of Film Entrepreneurial Storyteller Program can take your projects and career to the next level, and register your interest today at futureoffilm.live/ESP. That's futureoffilm.live/ESP.